When fall arrives, most gardeners focus on harvesting the last crops or cleaning up dead plants. But beneath the surface, something far more critical is happening. The microbial life that powers your soil, those unseen bacteria, fungi and protozoa that make nutrients available and keep roots healthy, starts to collapse. As temperatures drop and organic food sources disappear, soil microbes either die off or go dormant. That's why beds that were alive and thriving in summer often turn lifeless by spring. Yet there's a way to stop that die-off, and it doesn't involve fancy inoculants or store-bought microbe mixes. With the right fall strategy, you can keep your soil biology alive and active through the cold months, ensuring spring growth starts from a living foundation instead of from scratch. Soil microbes die when food, warmth and moisture vanish. To understand why soil biology crashes in autumn, just think of what changes underground. During the warm season, roots leak sugars into the soil, and microbes feed on those exudates. Decomposing leaves, compost and moisture all provide steady energy. But once plants die back, the microbial buffet shuts down. Without new carbon inputs, bacteria starve. The top layer dries out, temperatures drop and oxygen levels fall as the soil compacts under rain or frost. In this environment, only the hardiest spores and fungal forms survive. Active decomposers, nitrogen fixers, and the beneficial bacteria that keep pathogens in check simply can't function without energy or stable conditions. That's why garden beds left bare in fall often emerge in spring with sour-smelling soil, or even crusty compacted layers where earthworms are absent. The biology didn't just sleep, it perished. Many gardeners turn to cover crops to feed soil life, and while they do help, they don't always work the way people think. In mild regions, covers like clover or rye continue growing through winter, keeping roots in the ground and releasing sugars that sustain microbes. But in most areas, winter freezes those plants solid. Once growth stops, exudates stop too. The roots remain, but microbial activity still plummets. The real value of cover crops often shows in spring when they're chopped down and decomposed, not during the freeze itself. So while they're useful, they don't fully prevent microbial die-off during the cold months. To keep microbes truly alive through winter, the soil needs a combination of food, insulation and moisture control, a microclimate that mimics a living forest floor. The secret is to create a winter buffet under mulch. In a natural woodland, microbial life never shuts down completely because there's always food falling from above. Decaying leaves, twigs and roots, they create a steady trickle of carbon and nitrogen, don't they? You can indeed replicate this in your garden by layering materials that decompose slowly and release nutrients over the course of months. Now, the best combination, I must say, is a base of high-carbon material like shredded leaves, straw, or semi-rotted sawdust. Top this off with nitrogen-rich inputs such as green kitchen scraps, fresh grass, or partially broken-down compost. It's quite the effective mix. A practical ratio, you see, is 1 part nitrogen material to 3 parts carbon. Spread the nitrogen-rich layer directly over the soil, no deeper than 2 inches, and then cover it with 3 to 4 inches of dry mulch. This creates a slow decomposing blanket that keeps the soil warmer, traps humidity, and feeds microbes even as the surface freezes. The deeper layer generates small amounts of heat through microbial action, just enough to preserve a pocket of life below the frost line. Fascinating, isn't it? If you've ever dug into leaf piles in the middle of winter and felt a bit of warmth, or perhaps noticed those white fungal threads weaving through the debris, well, that's exactly what you're creating, an active microbial zone that's nicely insulated from the cold. Winter moisture is honestly a bit of a double-edged sword. Too little, and, microbes can dehydrate, but too much, and oxygen disappears, which leads to those anaerobic conditions that can actually kill off beneficial species. That's why really proper mulching is just crucial. It prevents both evaporation and surface saturation. Before applying your winter layer, just water the soil lightly, just enough to make it damp, not soggy. Then go ahead and apply the organic materials and let the rain or snow do the rest. So, you'll want to avoid compacting the surface or covering it with plastic sheets. Microbes really need oxygen exchange, and if the soil is sealed, it can actually suffocate them, even if the moisture level is spot on. For those gardening in areas with heavy rainfall, adding a top dusting of coarse material, like wood chips, is quite helpful for absorbing excess water while still maintaining airflow. Now, if you'd like to give your soil biology a little extra push before dormancy, you can apply a light drench of compost tea or even some diluted molasses water before you mulch. Compost tea introduces living microbes and enzymes, while molasses serves as a short-term carbon source. A simple ratio is 1 tablespoon of molasses per liter of water, poured evenly over the soil before the mulch layer goes down. This gives your microbial community a bit of an energy surge, helping it multiply just before winter sets in. As temperatures drop, those boosted populations will enter dormancy in greater numbers, and, well, they'll wake up faster when things start to warm up. Another handy trick is to bury a few microbe caches. These are small pockets of decomposing matter buried about 6 inches deep. You can use kitchen scraps or even a scoop of half-finished compost. These underground zones act much like winter larders, keeping small microbial colonies alive until spring arrives. When you reopen the bed in March or April, you'll discover rich, dark pockets absolutely teeming with fresh biological activity. The goal here isn't to prevent dormancy, but rather to preserve life. No gardener can keep every microbe fully active in freezing conditions, but the goal is to avoid total collapse. By maintaining food, moisture, and insulation, you allow a portion of your microbial network to survive naturally. When spring warmth returns, those survivors multiply rapidly, re-establishing full biological function weeks earlier than if the soil had gone sterile. That head start makes all the difference. It means better structure, faster decomposition, and healthier seedlings right from the start of the growing season. Beds managed this way often need less compost, less fertilizer, and suffer fewer disease outbreaks because the living soil community never had to rebuild from zero. Keeping soil microbes alive through fall and winter isn't complicated. It's simply about respecting their needs. They require food, shelter, and breathable moisture, just like any other living thing. The effort you make now pays off exponentially when spring arrives and your soil wakes up already alive, dark, and fertile. If you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe to Soil Doctor for more tested, science-backed soil wisdom that keeps your garden thriving naturally. Share this with other gardeners who want to grow from living soil, not just dirt. Because once you understand how to protect the life beneath your feet, you'll never garden the same way again.